Welcome, everybody.
What is up?
We are here for another week of live streaming our podcast, the Podcast Discovery Show, and the other Discovery Show. Thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. We're looking forward to a fun night. The podcast we talked about last week, or recommended last week, was a really fun listen. We have
I was
some.
gonna ask you, how'd you like it? Did you like it pretty good?
I did like it.
I
You know, I
learned
like
so much 'cause
space ones.
but I knew nothing about Apollo 12, so it was a really cool story. I really liked it.
Honestly, I'll talk more about this, but like, there's other cool things on their feed that I really want to check out now after
It's a cool show.
seeing
I'm gonna
that.
probably binge that freaking show and listen to every single episode because I've been to the Smithsonian's in DC and they're amazing. And
Oh yeah, what they're doing is so awesome, and it's a very good show. But like, I mean, some of the bonus episodes, like Outer Space Underwear.
outer space underwear.
It looks like
On Todd's,
there's
I've
one
got a really
about
cool
there's one about
discovery
Harriet
space.
Tubman. There's one about skateboarding. You know, it's kind of all over the place. But honestly, there's one called Appalachia Goes Beijing, and that title alone has got me. Because
Appalachia goes Beijing.
what does that mean? What does that mean in general? But yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff on there. So I'm definitely going to check out more, and that's one of the things I definitely was thinking as I was listening to it. So I have a bonus discovery for you that probably wouldn't be great to talk about on the actual show. In 2019, a cinema in Canada was filled with children excited to watch the new Pikachu movie. However, the cinema accidentally played horror, The Curse of La Llorona,
La Llorona.
an opening scene of a mother drowning her child. Terrified children began to scream, cry, and ran for the exits. Like,
I read that one today.
there's not a whole lot to talk about. I just read
It
it,
really isn't.
but
It's
like,
crazy.
but
So
maybe the thing,
unfortunate.
and I feel like there's just research involved, because I feel like the fun thing would be to figure out when else this has happened, when like there's a bunch of kids at a movie theater trying to see Pikachu, and instead they see a mother drown their kid. That's about as extreme as you can get it, you know? So I'd like to know if there's some more like different times this has happened where everybody goes there to see a movie and they get the opposite of that movie.
That'd be pretty funny. Because I am curious about that. Yeah, we are looking for the next spooky podcast after this week that we're going to talk to. So if you guys have any spooky podcasts that you know of, hit us up because we would love to give it a listen. The problem is, like, if you search spooky podcast or whatever, or you go to like the Halloween section of Spotify right now, it's just true crime. I'm not really into true crime that much. And the thing is, I'm sure we need to talk about it every now and then because a lot of people are really into it.
They really
But,
are.
like,
It's very popular.
I don't know, man. It's just it doesn't.
I
There's gotta
like
be
it
an
fine.
angle to it.
Yeah,
There's
no,
gotta be an angle that I will connect to. Like when you're talking about the psychology of a serial killer or something, that's different than just describing the crime in these a lot of times unsolved mysteries. I don't really get that much of an appeal for that kind of stuff.
Honestly, I like it okay. You know, I like the shows and everything, but I feel like it's a lot of times when I'm doing any kind of podcast or any media input at all, really, I like to not be brought down by it.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of times true crime is just so heavy because of the nature of what they're talking about.
Yeah, it's like when you watch a scary movie, you feel a little weird afterwards. You're kind of like, man, I need a palate cleanser, you know?
Mm-hmm. So I just never got super into them because I like having something else, like learning about something or it being funny or interesting in some way rather than just horrifying, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the ones that I listened to today was it wasn't a true crime one. It was from that Haunted Places one, but it was about a serial killer that was killing children. I couldn't do it. It's just couldn't do it.
Yeah, I get that, and that's what I'm saying. Is sometimes it's just too heavy to deal with.
I like spooky, like, you know, we know it's not real, but it's fun to think about kind of spooky stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like that kind of stuff. That's what appeals to me when it comes to
Yeah, I
spookiness.
love wildly speculating about whether some supernatural thing is real or not. I don't really like talking about real terrible things.
Yeah. So we have a lot to do tonight. We have some giveaways we're going to do. We'll talk about that again in a little bit. We have obviously the two podcasts we're going to recommend, but we also have a whole new segment that we are going to premiere tonight that we just recorded the other day, and it's specifically for you guys and for our YouTube channel, and it is the Twitch Discovery Show.
Brand
So
new
not
project
only
we're
are we
working on.
now discovering podcasts and recommending those to you and science stuff and all those other things with the other Discovery Show, but we are going to recommend some of our favorite and most unique Twitch channels that we found on I don't know how often we're going to put them out because they're going to be, it's basically going to be more of an interview style. So we want to talk to the Twitch streamer if we can. So that changes the scheduling, at least in my opinion. I
Yeah.
don't know about you, Zach, because you have to not only line up me, Zach's schedule, which is fairly easy, but we have to line it up with someone else. So it throws the schedule off a little bit. So I'm not gonna say like every week, but
Yeah, I would not say that.
doing it.
I had a similar situation with Creators Cove. You don't want to say every week.
Yeah, I mean interviews. It's just so different, you know.
Yeah,
You get
no, and
people that literally
things happen. People cancel. It just and then you're out a week. So we're gonna do it as often as we can. Pretty much, we love finding new Twitch channels. We already know of a handful of them right now that we'd like to talk to and get on the show, but it's something that we're gonna be doing for the foreseeable future. We liked it. We had a great time doing it. His name and his channel is Infinite Third. It's someone that we know, and it's also somebody that we got to sit down and talk with him, and he is now providing the music that you'll be hearing throughout the stream.
Yeah.
So
Excited.
at
So
all,
this is only the first night we used it. Well, actually, we used it the other day, right?
yeah, we used it the other day, but we didn't explain at all what it was. So yeah, now when you hear any music playing during Be Right Back or in the short break we'll have right before we go back into us being live again, that is Infinite Third, the guy who we're talking to on here, and everyone definitely should check out his channel. But yeah,
sure.
Stick around. It's only a 20-minute episode, and we're going to go right from that into the Podcast Discovery Show. Thanks so much for joining us, and we will be right back.
And we'll still be in chat, so we can still interact there. So if you have anything to say, we'll be there.
Yep.
Just going to be getting some stuff ready for the live show, but this was recorded live just a few days ago for y'all's enjoyment.
All right, we will be right back, everybody. Welcome to a new endeavor that we are going just down this rabbit hole of trying to find new Twitch creators. And this is actually our first episode. And we are joined, and we're so excited to be joined by Billy Mays, who goes by Infinite Third, is his stage name and also his Twitch name. I'm Zach.
I'm Kirk.
And we're pumped to help everybody discover a brand new Twitch channel that's incredible. So, Billy, thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me, guys.
So my first question would be how, because I've tried to explain it, and I feel like I do not do it justice. How would you explain the type of music that you make?
Well, there's a couple ways to go about it, but in terms of, you could talk about like the instrumentation, which is I sit on the floor with a guitar in the middle of a bunch of pedals and loopers, and it's sort of like my little spaceship. And so that's one way, that's like the medium of what I'm doing it on. But genre wise, I always kind of call it like ambient post rock kind of thing, a little, electronic. But if you just say electronic music, people think like EDM or or all the different genres of electronic, when really the music, while being made electronically, is sort of falls under this post rock instrumental thing, which I'm way into. Um, but yeah, and then also it's improvisational. So all the music that I stream live is completely improvised, 100%.
Yeah, I hate like trying to put people in a box, but just helping like them explain to people that kind of can understand what they're going
Totally.
into.
Yeah. No, I just try to explain it in all the ways, as you can tell. Yeah.
Yeah, and
It
it
doesn't
really
fit
ends up.
anywhere, but it fits everywhere.
Yeah, it ends up having a ton of layers. So yeah, he's playing guitar. He's bringing in electronic elements, and then he's also beatboxing sometimes as one of the elements as well. So there's a lot of really cool stuff going on. Is you have just switched over to Twitch almost
Mhm.
exclusively now, right?
Yep. Yeah. I used to stream on Facebook a lot, and everyone's kind of sick of Facebook, but it finally hit me that I don't even enjoy being on there at all anymore. So I've stopped kind of like relying on that part of my network because Facebook just doesn't want me to connect with them unless I'm paying them.
Yeah, we had a similar issue where it almost felt like because we would have people watch our streams. We started there as well. We would stream on Facebook Live, and we were streaming everywhere until we hit affiliate. And congratulations on your affiliate as well.
Thanks. You too.
Yeah, buddy.
But once we hit that, we kind of went through this thought process of, is it worth even going to Facebook? Because we would have people pop in every once in a while, and sometimes people would say stuff, but we felt like the audience on Twitch was much more engaged with a live streaming type of set. Have you seen anything like that as you've started to switch over?
Yeah, for sure. I'll notice that, say I have 10 Twitch viewers at one time and I have 10 Facebook viewers at one time. Like, people on Twitch are there because they clicked there and now they want to watch a live stream. Whereas I would say probably half the people on Facebook sort of either accidentally pop in because they tapped it on their screen and they're like, oh shit, now I'm here, or they're just not there for the long haul. They're not going to sit on Facebook for the rest of the night on one video because like Facebook is not designed to watch one thing. Like, Facebook probably already has another video lined up for them to click that's like right there, and it's just saying like, here's some other videos you could check out.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that they even endeavored into like live video, and because it kind of seems counterintuitive to their MO, which is to get people just to click through all the things.
Yeah. Well, there's probably a function for like just going live for a second to talk or whatever on Facebook. Like, it's definitely, I don't know. I could see like live video should just be everywhere, right? I mean, that's like the newest part of technology for us that we can all share in, is just being able to go live at any time on all the platforms.
It definitely seems like we're approaching it. Is this something where you kind of endeavored more into the streaming element once everything happened with COVID as well? Because that's we first met pre-COVID at
Yeah.
a show in the outside, and
Holy River show, right?
yeah, it was Holy
Yeah,
River.
yeah,
You and Mark, I think, was there
yeah,
as
yeah.
well,
Mountain
and
Holler.
yeah, Mountain Holler,
Mhm.
and a lot of musicians now have transferred from kind of a lost gigging opportunity just in general for months now to something online. So is this something that you were always kind of thinking about doing, and this kind of just paved the path for it being, this is what I need to be doing? Or was this something that you kind of found this because of all of that?
Well, I have been streaming for probably 3 or 4 years on my cell phone at shows. I would always put the phone up on a tripod, and like I used to play back in the before times. I used to play 3 to 4 hour sets sometimes.
Is
At
that where your
different
YouTube
coffee
videos
shops.
come from? Your phone?
Some of them, yeah, some of them are. A lot of them
Because
are
I've
from
seen
my
a lot
phone.
of your YouTube videos, and
Oh,
they're
actually,
pretty
no.
good.
Now that I'm thinking about that, a lot of the
Okay.
clips are from post. I would still stream via my phone, but I would record video with this little Zoom audio / video, but it's only recording the stereo, like of the room, not anything direct. So yeah, I've gotten some decent clips from doing that. But yeah, so I used to stream while I would play shows, and then sometimes I would stream at home. But really, before COVID, I was rarely ever set up with my music gear at home because I was always on tour, or even when I'm home, I would have my gear ready to go at all times because I would have shows every week or a couple times a week. So, I don't think I ever really envisioned becoming like a streamer. But yeah, as soon as everything happened, I canceled my tour. I came home from tour and realized I'm not going to be touring again for a while. I just sort of embraced it, and I was like, fine, fuck it, I don't want to tour. And I was like, I'm just going to start slowly building towards this nice streaming rig, and I'm almost there. Uh, it took a while. It took maybe 6 months to even get to the point where I feel like super comfortable. And then I didn't even really get on Twitch until about a month ago. So I wasn't even sure yet which platform I was going to be on, or if I was going to be on all of them. But I feel like I've settled it on Twitch, and I really like the possibilities there.
Yeah, no, I think we've set it off, Mike, but I think that your music's going to be perfect for the Twitch stream. Someone is, a lot of times people are playing video games and they want to watch a streamer at the same time. They put your stream on, they can interact with chat while playing their video games and stuff. It's going to be great.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think it's going to be perfect.
I even put in my little bio in the about section, like, feel free to just like put the audio on and go do something else too, because I want that to kind of be like the main thing that I do is just sort of go on and play and improvise, and that's it. And hopefully people will just be like doing work or doing whatever they do, which is, I used to do that. That's actually how my live music started, was why I did like performances with bands and stuff where I was just like the solo act on the bill. But I always found that like it was really hard to settle into a short 20-minute set at a coffee shop or something. So I think around 2016 ish, I started doing these things called ambient installations, where I did a whole couple months of these in St. Pete, where I would just ask all the different places I could think of, like coffee shops, museums, galleries, a couple restaurants, any room that was kind of cool and I knew the owners or I would meet the owners. I would just say, hey, can I come do a thing, part of this series where I'll play for 4 hours, and it'll just be a free event and people can come hang out. And it turned into like, that was the evolution of, I play like band sets, or like trying to squeeze my music into band sets, to, well, I'll just say come and go as you please to my show, and come, and you don't even have to like put all your attention on me. Just come and like draw, or hang with your friends, or meditate, or do yoga. And that's what it became. So I think this is sort of the extension of that. This is now, I'm taking that into the digital world and see how people interact with it more.
Yeah, and I mean the cool thing is, yeah, it's not ideal, but I always appreciated that this was also a turning point in music. So it's not, I never want it to be the only option, but the fact that it is an option, the fact that now that entire premise you're talking about, where you would have to go interact with each specific location you want to do that, now it's just available. Anybody can put that ambience wherever they're at, whatever they're doing. And so that's a really cool thing. The reach has expanded, even though it's come with difficulties as well. But there's just a cool kind of silver lining to it that I really hope, even once everything's opened back up and everybody can play again, that it sticks around. And there's a lot more access to live shows anywhere you're at online.
Yeah, I'm super excited about it. I would love to be able to move into the woods in the next couple of years and just live stream all the time, and then also go on tour from time to time, maybe a couple times a year, 3 times a year, something like that. But this is like ideal for me, especially having a kid soon. And we've talked about this, but
yeah, congratulations. Yeah,
thanks. Yeah,
your life's about to get a lot more complicated and different, but in a good way.
Yeah. So I think streaming will be sort of the ideal occupation for me, as my kid is, the first couple years of her life.
Speaking of kids, when Zach told me that he interviewed you, and I hope you don't get offended, because
no, please.
The first time he told me he interviewed you, he told me who it was, and I'm like, is that any relation to the Billy Mays?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, yeah, it's his son. I'm like, oh my God, like I loved Billy Mays.
Yeah, I that's a big part of my life, and I actually had thought about this the other night. I think it was last night, because we've been chatting back and forth about Twitch and everything, us three, and I think just getting my creative juices going. Last night, I started having the thought of like, this could like having that streaming platform to do more and more different types of streams besides the music, whether it's a interview or anything I want to introduce into my stream. I thought it'd be cool to do one where I do sort of an Ask Me Anything about the the life of Billy Mays, and also I figured I could show a lot of the memorabilia that I have, and we could talk about it and stuff. Because I don't really have a way to. I don't know. I'm not just gonna like film a video of that.
Yeah,
I would like it to be
yeah.
interactive. So I realized it could be a nice platform for me to kind of share some of that interesting shit too. From
Yeah,
my
no,
life.
it's definitely a cool opportunity because you do a lot of the charitable stuff through the Billy Mays website
Yeah.
at this point. So it'd be a really cool kind of crossover to do a little bit of both. But yeah, Kirk isn't joking. I think he's seen all of Pitchman. I
Oh,
think he's
nice.
seen all of them.
Yeah, I was in there. I was in a
I
couple of those
I
episodes.
knew it. I knew it.
I was super young though. I was like 22. Or
I told you,
21 or
Zach.
something.
I'm telling you, I saw him on there.
Yeah.
He had more hair, but he was
Yeah.
on there.
Yeah. No, there were a couple episodes. One of them, I got to direct my dad in a commercial for a pizza place. It was for his brother-in-law's pizza place in Newport Richey, Florida.
That's the
And-
thing that is like it was like a local celebrity. You know what I mean? 'Cause,
Yeah,
we're here from Tampa, and so it's like, oh, this guy's famous, and
Yeah.
he's right here from nearby. And
Totally. Yeah.
yeah,
So yeah, that's a big. The BillyMays.org organization and the website and everything is sort of stands on its own as like a digital archive of a lot of fun stuff that I found. But yeah, like Zach said, I do this charity stuff, and we've done a couple recent. We actually, the last thing we did was I found an extra box of T-shirts that had his face on it, and I did a Twitter just fundraiser for. I said 100% of the money that's raised from this box of T-shirts is going to go to. We ended up donating like 800 or $600 to the Navajo Nation COVID-19 relief fund because they were like
Oh, wow.
ravaged by the virus. So doing stuff like that is fun, but I have bigger goals for what I would like to do with that fun with those fundraisers and stuff. And one of them is I want to make a Funko Pop of my dad.
oh, that
know,
would
like
be awesome.
And
I
there's
would
been a
love
lot
to
of
have a Funko
interest.
Pop
There's
of
been a
his
lot
dad.
of
Perfect.
a lot of people have said like, "Oh my god, I want that," but I haven't been able to get in touch with anyone official at Funko yet.
Well,
So-
this is your chance, Funko. If you're watching this, the
Well, what-
opportunity's there.
When I get a bunch of people on stream sometime, I'll tell everyone to spam them for like a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, he's done some really cool stuff with the organization. They also had a partnered beer at the place where we originally met in Dunedin,
Mhm.
and it was very popular. And I think it was about to come back around. And as another casualty of COVID is that we didn't get the next round of
Yeah.
Billy Mays beer.
The Billy Mays IPA, yeah, with the Dunedin Brewery. Yeah, it had a good first run, but I don't know if there will be a second run, but I'm sure there will be a different version of whatever that is.
But yeah, there's all kinds of stuff to look forward to. Like he said, he's got a lot of plans for awesome things he's going to do on stream. Me and Kirk are both huge fans, and it seriously is perfect music to just check out, have on. You can watch him make all this stuff live, and it's very relaxing vibe to experience. So we hope everybody checks it out when you're doing pretty much anything you want to be doing. It's a great thing to have on.
So I know he said it at the beginning of the show, but Billy, where can they find you on all of the places? Now I know the answer to this, but tell them again.
Yeah. Infinite Third, spelled out THIRD, infinitethird.com, Infinite Third on Twitch, Infinite Third on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. All
This
the
guy's got
places.
the SEO figured out.
Yep.
Yeah.
All Infinite Third.
Yeah. I have a Patreon that I actually have been super into lately because another thing about hating Facebook is that why try to reach 8,000 people that like might care or it might come across their thing when I have a much smaller number of people who are actually invested in supporting me. So I just share all the stuff exclusively on Patreon now, a lot of live clips and a lot of just unreleased songs and stuff like that. So I kind of want it all to kind of be I want the people who actually are into my stuff to be interacting. That's what I care
Yeah,
about.
there's definitely something to that. Having even just a small paywall, just to
Yeah.
have people that are actually invested in you, to give them
Yeah.
all the love.
Yeah, it's $3.33 a month for Patreon. That's my tier 1.
Well, yeah. Well, thanks so much for coming on, Billy. We really appreciate it. Everybody should definitely check out the channel. It's great.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time, man. And thank you guys for tuning in to the first ever episode of the Twitch Discovery Show. And stay tuned because we're going to discover a lot of more cool stuff.
Yeah, we like finding new things and sharing them with people. So we're always going to be looking for new channels that maybe people haven't heard of and they can check out. So yeah, we really appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Welcome, everybody.
I hope you guys enjoyed the first ever episode of the Twitch Discovery Show. And Billy's got some amazing stuff. I can't believe that, we got him to make us some literal music just for us. It's just ours. It's not for anyone else. It's just for us. It's exciting.
Okay, so where are you saying this is?
It is. I sent it just to you. It's like go to like.
Oh, on Slack. Oh, okay.
Yeah, on Slack. It's up just a little bit, not very far. And I guess you.
Oh, gotcha. You're talking about that top bullet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
What's up, Josh? We switched sides? No, we didn't. So we always are. Josh, thanks for subscribing to the show, by the way.
Something like that. Kelnack, thanks for subscribing, Josh, to the show. No, we didn't switch sides. I haven't moved these number or our names at all. Have you, Kirk?
No. Maybe. Oh, it was in that interview.
In the interview. Okay, yeah, I could see that. I definitely just stuck the videos where they went. Yep, he's probably right. Oh, okay. And yeah, it is a fairly similar setup to that. But yeah, that wasn't actually, I mean, it was live recorded. It didn't just happen though. We recorded that and edited that and fixed all we did really though is add Billy's video on there and then fix the audio a little bit. But yeah, it's a new project we're working on called Twitch Discovery Show. We're going to try and find awesome Twitch channels for people to check out. So it was really fun to get to do it with somebody that we already liked.
Peek behind the curtain. We did it once before with him, and we used Skype, and the audio was garbage.
Yeah.
So we found something else.
Little tip for anybody that wants high quality audio: don't use Skype.
No, don't use Skype.
That's not what it's for. But yeah, we have a lot of cool stuff that we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about a podcast about space.
And near the end of the show, after Todd's, we are going to do a T-shirt and sticker giveaway. And give away some stickers and T-shirts. So that's exciting.
Do you have your T-shirt on? I don't have mine. Oh, I see it behind you.
Mine.
There's one behind you.
Yeah, there's one right there.
It looks like that.
I do have one on.
But yeah, we're looking forward to it, and a special surprise for Josh. It is now October, so it's Josh's favorite month of the year, where we talk about spooky time podcasts.
Spooky time.
And I can't even begin to describe you how much he hated the entire month of October because of it.
I think he just hated October because it was 1 month closer to Christmas.
Maybe. And that's why Kirk loves October.
I'm out. Bye, Josh. Thanks for hopping in.
Thanks for stopping by. Then Kirk had to go and say Christmas in October.
Oh.
All right. Well, I guess we can launch into this first part of the show, the Podcast Discovery Show.
Yep. Let me hit record right here.
I don't see you in the Zencastr. Do you see me?
Did it ask you for a health check or anything?
I am not in whichever one you're in.
What happened?
Here, let me refresh it. Yeah, I don't see you in here. Are you in a Zencastr right now?
Yeah, normally you could. Never mind. I'll have to start a new one. It's fine.
Technical difficulties, y'all. This is how we do it. Yeah, no, it is weird. We just recorded with it. But how's everybody doing? How's everybody's Friday night going? it has actually been a fairly long week for us, but it's also been very nice weather outside. So it's been both.
I've seen that's about to end, but
What? It's about to get hot again?
yeah,
Of course it is.
it was nice while it lasted.
Okay, yeah, I hear you double now.
All right. Now we're fine. I don't know what happened.
I don't either. Usually
All
it
right, I'm gonna
works
start
fine.
recording now. Hey, it's working. Welcome to the Podcast Discovery Show, the podcast that's about other podcasts, where every single week we have a book.
Nice.
Dang it.
Run it back.
Where every single week we have a book club style discussion about a podcast that we recommended last week. And at the end of the episode, we're going to recommend a
You're having what happened to me last week. Where the words don't happen.
They're happening. They're just not words. And at the end of the episode, we're going to recommend a brand new episode for us to talk about next week. I'm Kirk.
And I am Zach.
And this week we are talking about Side Door.
So Side Door is a podcast project from the Smithsonian. And this is kind of their blurb they put out. More than 155 million treasures fill the Smithsonian's vaults. But where public view ends, Side Door begins. With the help of biologists, artists, historians, archaeologists, zookeepers, and astrophysicists, host Lizzie Peabody sneaks listeners through the Smithsonian Side Door to search for stories that can't be found anywhere else.
And there's so many things on that feed that were exciting.
Okay, so the episode we're talking about is about Apollo 12. But if you are curious just about this podcast in general, there's another one about space, but it's about space underwear. So it's not at all one thing. It's literally just about everything that could be found in the Smithsonian. Anything they think is interesting, they're going to break it down and give you kind of the background detail about it that you maybe wouldn't even get if you were there. You know, they'd give you a richer picture than you would if you were actually at the Smithsonian, which is kind of awesome. But yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff in it. Kirk recommended this one, and I loved this show. I thought it sounds great, obviously. The host is really awesome. This one's about Apollo 12, so there's amazing interviews in it. And I was thinking about it, and I don't really know. I knew there was an Apollo 12, but I don't think I ever heard the story of it at all.
I had never heard anything about it, really. There's a good point. You know, it's overshadowed by its younger brother, Apollo 11, that made it to the moon, the first man on the moon with, Neil Armstrong and all that. And then you have Apollo 13, which was the tragedy.
Where everyone almost died.
Yeah. And so, Apollo 12 just gets kind of swept under the rug. It's the middle child that no one really talks about.
It was the boring one out of the three, and it wasn't even that boring, which we find out in this episode.
It's actually a fascinating mission.
Honestly,
it was so cool to learn about it.
Yeah, after hearing some of the stuff about this, I want to see the movie about Apollo 12. Sure, it's not going to be as intense as Apollo 13, but there's a different element to it that I feel like would be amazing.
I mean, it's like a buddy cop movie, but it's like a buddy astronaut movie.
That is 100% what I'm talking about, is that they are all best friends. All three of the guys that went on this mission met in the Air Force a long time before and were best friends and worked together and were completely pumped to go to space because they were going to go on the moon. It was, what would it be, the third or fourth person on the moon? And so they were going on another legendary journey, but they were going with their two best friends who were also astronauts. And it's hilarious because they kind of give you a little bit of their personalities throughout this. And so there was several of them were funny. You know, you can even hear them as everything's going on because NASA allows the use of all of their media for educational purposes pretty much across the board. So there's even some clips that we'll play for you right now, essentially, that you can hear not just what someone is telling you what was being said. You can literally listen to their comms, to their radio as they're going through all of these things. But it's really cool that they will play the clips of these guys because you can hear them goofing off with each other. You can hear them laughing and just being funny. And honestly, the one part that I heard it and I was like, this needs to be a movie, is the 3 gold Corvettes. All 3 of these guys had matching gold Corvettes, and they would apparently race them down the runways. And they would just, I just got this mental picture of 3 astronauts appearing at some diner, and they all have gold Corvettes, and they just like pull up together.
Dude, I was listening to a podcast. I don't know if it was like This American Life or something like that, but they were like doing a deep dive of like the beginning of NASA in like Canaveral area. And it was such a cool, like at the beginning of, you know, that time when NASA was like brand new there and all that, they were like rock stars, and they would like have pool parties and stuff at all these hotels and junk. And it sounded like crazy lifestyle. I mean, 3 guys with matching Corvettes, and they had their like their position in the mission on the Corvettes, you know, like commander, pilot, and module pilot and stuff like that. So there was 3 guys. There was Pete, who was the commander. There was Richard Gordon, or Dicky, as Pete liked to call him, and there was the pilot, Alan Bean. So Alan was the one that was like the, what did they call him? The meticulous, the details guy. That's what they called him. He was all about the details. He wasn't as showboaty as these other 2 guys, but the other 2 guys, they were very, you know, they said that Alan or Pete in particular loved to cuss and tell jokes, and they're a little bit raunchy and funny guys. Like I said, it was literally like a buddy cop story, but for astronauts. And I got some stuff that they didn't even mention in the show that I want to talk about in a minute. That's just definitely proves that. It was like 3 best friends. We're like, hey, let's 3 best friends. Let's go to space.
Yeah, and they apparently were all like, obviously they're astronauts. They were talented pilots and everything like that. But I don't think there had ever been another mission where it was 3 people who wanted to hang out on the weekends, not just like working together. And so I think that was an interesting dynamic that you can even hear when things start happening, because Apollo 12 was very nearly as bad of a story as Apollo 13, where it was very nearly a disaster. Or
they almost didn't even make it into orbit. And the reason is because all of a sudden something happened. There was this noise, and then all of a sudden all of the alarms and lights showed up that were completely wrong, but they were saying everything in the ship was failing. And at first they had no clue what it was. So Zach, why don't you go ahead and play that clip, because that kind of plays that whole section of when they first hear that little that noise.
The CSM like, onboard audio?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so yeah, this is the actual audio from that exact moment.
The hell was that? I lost a whole bunch of stuff. I don't know. Some buses. Mark 1 Bravo. Roger, we had a whole bunch of buses drop off. There's nothing. It's nothing. I think it's... What we got? I can't see. There's nothing wrong. AC bus 1 light. All the fuel cells. I just lost the platform. I got the GDC. Yeah. Okay, we just lost the platform, gang. I don't know what happened here. We had everything in the world drop off. I can't, there's nothing I can tell is wrong, Pete. I got 3 fuel cell lights, an AC bus light, a fuel cell disconnect, AC bus overload 1 and 2, main bus A and B out. I got AC. You got AC? Yeah. Maybe just the indicator. What do you got in the main bus? Main buses are both indicating 24 volts. Huh? 24 volts, which is low. We got a short on it of some kind. I can't lose a volt. Apollo 12 Houston, try FCE to auxiliary, over. Try FCE to auxiliary. What the hell is that? FCE to auxiliary.
So yeah, it's awesome to hear that because okay, as they explain in the show, something had happened and all of their electrical systems freaked out at one time. Every single warning light was on. That was the call you just heard where something happened. They lost everything, and the very end of that, you hear somebody tell them to switch something to auxiliary. And
SCE switch to auxiliary,
and that dude literally saved it.
And that whole story right there is nuts. You know, it's just so coincidental, and they tell that story, and it seems like such a long time. From when that happened to when they tell him what to do, that's like 20 seconds.
Yeah, that entire clip is 1:10.
Yeah. So it's crazy how fast it happened. But basically, they had lost electricity, and apparently this guy, the ECOM guy, his name was John Aaron, he was only 24, which kind of blew my mind. He had an answer, and the reason he had the answer is because something like this had happened a year prior, and he went above and beyond, and he's like, well, why are these buttons all showing weird numbers and stuff? This isn't right. So he took the data home, and he was like, let me figure out just for myself why it's doing this. And there was a particular pattern of what all these readings were. And it reminded him that this is what had happened a year prior. And the answer was to just switch it from basically probably regular power to auxiliary real quick. And it basically rebooted the system. So in short, they called mission control, and they're like, did you turn it off and turn it back on again?
Yes, 100%. No, but my favorite thing is while this is all happening, and apparently they were essentially flying a tin can at this point. None of their systems were working. Like it was, they had to figure out what was going to happen, or something bad was going to happen. And the guy comes on and just like very matter of factly, you heard it, is just like, just switch that to auxiliary, and they're like, what the hell is that? They'd never even seen that button. So yeah, the coincidence and the kind of the destiny of that moment of this guy knowing exactly what he needed to know at that precise second is just crazy.
It's so crazy. And also that they had Al on the flight, because Al was not supposed to be on the flight. Alan Bean, the guy that was in his place, died before they could go to space in a plane crash, flying a jet. So they got Alan on, and Alan was the details guy. Pete didn't know where this button is, and neither did Richard. But Al, the details guy, knew where this button was. So he's like, okay, or the switch. So he switched it, and they were good. And I love the response, because I don't have the audio for that. I wish I would have clipped that one as well. But after this happened, and they kind of like realize they're okay again, Pete giggles all the way to orbit.
Yeah.
Apparently he got a case of the giggles, and he couldn't stop laughing.
No, they said that was like a nervous tick of his. So like, I think
almost made it to the moon.
Yeah. So it dawned on him how close they were to having a real problem, and he laughed. You can literally just hear him laughing in the cockpit, and they're all laughing together, and they like immediately they knew they were okay because they started joking with like with mission control on Earth. And they're saying something about they're having some cardiac issues up in the ship, and they said they were having some down there too. And then they start giggling. So that's how these guys were. They just pretty hardcore. They would just kind of roll with it. And so they ended up going to the moon. You know, they went through all that as the very beginning. Then they had to travel the moon. They got to the moon. They literally walked on the moon, and they actually grabbed something. And I'm wondering if there's always kind of like a rosebud for these episodes where it's kind of like, here's the thing that there's like a Smithsonian detail. They have this camera, correct, that they took from the moon?
Oh, you know what? I don't know what piece they have. You're probably right. I didn't pick up on that. That's something you probably picked up on that I didn't even pick up on.
I think that's what's happening, because they have it on like a loan from NASA. Like, because if NASA ever needs it, it's technically still like something from the moon. So if they need to like do research on it, they have the ability to do that. But I think the Smithsonian has it, if I heard that correctly. And so they went down there to get that so that they could track how being on a lunar environment is affecting things.
Before we get too far away from the almost disaster, I do want to talk about what the disaster was, because that kind of blew my mind as well. It was a stormy day and it was cloudy, but there was no lightning nearby. But it was still cloudy when they went up. And apparently, apparently NASA's changed their rules since Apollo 12 because of this. Because of how much heat and stuff is going behind this rocket and the force and everything that's going on, it had ionized the air between the rocket and the ground. And the rocket itself, the space shuttle, created its own lightning. And basically, it struck itself with lightning twice, which is just crazy.
Yeah.
It's like electricity's nuts.
Yeah, and I mean, he explained it just very matter-of-factly. They're like, oh, yeah, it ionized all the air behind, and I was like, okay, yeah, that I didn't realize that could be a thing, where you just make your own lightning by flying a spaceship through the air. But they're going so fast that it does that. But yeah,
that was crazy. The reason that they lost electricity was they got struck by lightning twice. Not even that they got struck by lightning; they created their own lightning. You know, I thought that was crazy.
Yeah, no, and it's cool that literally NASA is prepared for that now because of this. So it's a cool thing.
So kind of wrapping up how these guys were fun and goofy, the first thing that Pete says when he steps on the moon surface is "whoopee."
Yep, it sounds almost exactly like that.
It's like a small child, and he's like, "Whoopee!"
Wait, is that the audio you sent to me too?
No, I don't have that. I don't have that audio. The other one is, it was when they were first landing. They actually didn't have that audio on the stuff that I was being able to find. But
what's the lunar landing one?
You can go ahead and play that right now. It's just when they first were about to land and they're so excited.
Oh, okay.
Landing, Pete, outstanding, man. After arm on, beautiful. He's got that. The foot turned over. Okay, we're in hot shape, Houston. We're in real good shape. Roger, Pete. Engine stop, you pushed it. Yep, pro. Both control, both auto. Both auto. Get engine command over auto.
Cool. Yeah, so he clearly is very excited they're about to land on the moon, which is crazy to think about.
I just wanted that clip because you can hear kind of the excitement in his voice. They're just like so happy that they made it. But yeah, and then he tells a joke as soon as he gets on the moon, and the joke is it's so cheesy, but it's great because he's a short guy, and he says that may have been a small one for Neil, but it's a big one for me. Talking about his big steps because he's a short guy. And I was doing a little bit of extra research, and they didn't mention this in the show, but apparently that wasn't an off-the-cuff comment. In fact, which to me makes the story even better, Pete had made a bet with a reporter that that he would say that as the first words when he stepped on the moon, that he would say that joke for $500. And the reporter's like, "No, you won't." And he's like, "Yes, I will." And he did. It does say in here that he never got his $500.
Oh, that was my next question. Is like, what did he get back? He's like, "You heard it on the news, right? You heard it on TV. Where's my $500?"
Some interesting facts that I found as well that they didn't mention on the show was this was supposed to be the first color pictures or video, taken from the moon. And shoot, which one was it? I'm trying to figure out which guy it was. Richard had the camera and he was walking it to the place they were going to put it, and he accidentally pointed it towards the sun, like the lens, and because they weren't on Earth, it immediately burned up the inside of the camera. So it didn't work. So we don't have any video.
It's funny to think about, but you would never think about that. Like literally, this lens can never point towards the sun or it will fry it. There's no atmosphere. Yeah, that's wild.
Also, another interesting thing. Alan Bean smuggled a camera timer, a self timer, so that he could take a selfie on the moon. So because
that
wasn't part of the plan. But he brought, a timer. They had a camera, but he brought a shutter timer so that he could take a picture of the group.
No, but didn't he destroy the camera?
No, that was a different camera.
Oh, okay.
That was like a video camera, a color video camera.
Oh, okay.
And I have to read this because this is great and it's hilarious. As one of the many pranks pulled during the friendly rivalry between the all-Navy prime crew, the all-Air Force backup crew of Apollo 12 managed to insert into the astronauts' lunar checklist. So this is in their checklist that they have to go through when they're in space on things they need to do. Reduced sized pictures of Playboy playmates. Surprising Conrad and Bean when they looked through the checklist flip book during their EVAs. What's even better, there's layers of this joke. So not only is there like checklists got Playboy bunnies in there, but they did it strategically for the different things that were on the checklist. So appearing in Conrad's checklist were Angelina Dorian, Miss September, with the caption, "See any interesting hills and valleys?" Reagan Wilson, Miss October, putting preferred tether partner, referring to a special procedure that would require the sharing of life support resources. The photos in Bean's cuff checklist were Cynthia Myers, Miss December, saying, "Don't forget, describe the protuberances."
Describe the protuberances. Oh my God.
And and Leslie something, Miss January, survey her activity. The pun of the surveyor, which was the rover that was on the moon.
I mean, that is next level trolling, honestly.
It's hilarious because that's a joke that wouldn't even happen until they were on the moon doing their like things that they were supposed to do for science.
No, and that didn't in any way stop them from doing that. It just gave them extra incentive to check the protuberances.
Check the protuberances. Oh man.
No, that is amazing.
But it kind of just really wraps up the whole story of these guys being, just best friends going on this epic adventure to space.
To the moon. Like, yeah, it is incredible. And honestly, this show is great. Here, let me read you some of the other episodes they have on this show, because there's really no telling where it's going to go. And this is season 5, so they have a lot. But just from season 5, Outer Space Underwear, The Last Man Who Knew It All, The Milkmaid Spy, an episode about Harriet Tubman. There's one about when Hawaiians began to be able to vote. There's one called Appalachia Goes Beijing that just the title alone makes me want to check it out. So they have a ton of really cool stuff. And if you're at all interested in kind of interesting history type podcasts, so it's not really dry at all. It's really an entertaining show and a lot of really cool subjects. It's a great one to check out.
Yeah, I listened to about 3 episodes so far, and this was the one that I was like, man, I didn't know anything about this mission, and I think that everyone should learn about it because it's awesome.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about the Smithsonian for a minute because I know it's museums and stuff like that, but I didn't really know anything else about it. So I went on their website, and it gives a little bit of their background. The Smithsonian Institute is the world's largest museum, education, and research complex. It has 19 museums and a national zoo. And it was founded in 1846 with funds from the Englishman James Smithson. According to his wishes, under the name of the Smithsonian Institute, an establishment for the increase and diffusion of knowledge. We can continue this honor and this mission and invite you to join us in our quest. That's their little excerpt about the Smithsonian. But I've been to some of the museums when I was younger, and we went with my family. My favorite, of course, was the Air and Space Museum. It was funny because they were having a special traveling, what do they call those things? Exhibit. That's what I was looking for. A traveling exhibit of all the original Star Wars props. So I remember seeing the original Wookiee costume for Chewbacca and all that like original stuff. It was really cool. I was so excited when I was a kid to see that. I got to see the original, the plane that dropped the atomic bomb, which was crazy.
That's wild.
Yeah. And then on one of the other, I think it was a Natural History Museum, they had the Hope Diamond was there, like on a traveling thing as well, which is like the largest diamond in the world or whatever. So that was cool. They had a ridiculous amount of security, and I didn't know why.
Because that diamond is worth more than my life.
But yeah, I mean, I just think it's crazy and so cool. I love museums. I used to hate them when I was a kid because I remember me and my dad, he loved that kind of stuff, and now I love it. But when I was a kid, I was like, this is so boring.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like we'd just be looking at pictures and stuff, and I was like, why is this entertaining? But now I really have an appreciation for it, and I wish we could go back.
Yeah, I do wish it was like, hey, my school is going to take me to the Smithsonian again, but alas, they won't.
So it was an amazing show, and everyone should go check it out. So before we give our recommendation for this week's show that we're going to talk about next week, a lot of people ask, hey, how can we help out the show? What can we do to support the show? And we have like a million ways that you can support the show. Some of them you get something back. Some of them you can just basically give us a little bit of money, or some of them don't cost any money and it just helps us. We have a Patreon, and we have what we call PDS Shorties, which are short episodes that are not long enough to be on the Podcast Discovery Show, but are great shows. What was that? We did one about, what was it about? It was the memory one.
The Memory Palace.
Memory Palace. That was not it. Was it?
Isn't it?
I don't think so. I think
we did
that's
short
Sherlock
ones.
Holmes thing.
Is that Sherlock Holmes?
I think that's his thing. I don't think it's.
Is it the one from Bumblebee Crumple Snips? That Sherlock Holmes?
I could be wrong. Maybe it is Memory Palace. I don't know.
But we have short episodes on there that you can check out.
Kind World was another PDS shorty where it was just like good stories, like nice, kind stories. And I think we did the one about this lady parachuting out of a airplane, and her instructor, the guy that was tethered to her, saving her life. It was just a really good story. And but it was only like 10 minutes long, so we can't really talk about that for 30 minutes on our show, but we can do a PDS shorty on it. So if you want to hear something about that, you can support us on Patreon.
Also, if you want to hear the beginnings, if you want to hear when we were practicing, is what we like to call it now, when we were learning, honing our craft. No, what this really means is we were not good. But yeah, all of our archives are on there. So you can hear us. We were doing 3 podcasts per episode. They were very long episodes. They were very unstructured, but sometimes funny, and they are on there as well.
I think some of the funniest stuff that we've done was then we were free and had no idea what we were saying half the time. So it was good stuff.
Yeah.
You can also subscribe on Twitch, which is $5, and we get some of that money.
Or if you have Amazon Prime, it's free.
Or if you have Amazon Prime, it is absolutely free. As a Prime member, you get a free sub to any Twitch channel, and we get benefit from that. So that's a thing. We have a Venmo link in the show notes if you wanted to just, because we did have somebody be like, hey, I don't really want to do a monthly thing, but I'd really like to give some money just once. So we do have the Venmo link on our show links. But then we also are an affiliate with not only Audible, but Rogue Energy.
Rogue Energy.
Which is it's an energy drink, but it's no sugar. Was it no carbs? It's like it's really good though. It's a powder that you mix with water, and Zach's drinking one right now, and I'm drinking one as well.
No, it is one of those things where we tried it out because I had seen other streamers doing it, but I just tried it out because they had like an affiliate link, and it's pretty good. I was drinking a lot of Red Bulls before, a lot of Red Bulls, and so we tried this out and we like it because all you need is water and you got an energy drink. So yeah, if you want to get a discount and help out the show a little bit, you can go on there, and I think you save 10%. If you use the code PDS Energy, all one word, all caps. I don't think the caps matter, but it feels better when you do it.
The Audible, you get a free audiobook when you sign up with Audible through our link, which is in the show notes as well. But if you don't want to do any of those other things, give us a rating and review over on Apple Podcasts or on Podchaser, or even just go follow us on Spotify. All of those things help the show out, and we're very grateful. And thank you so much for listening.
Yeah.
It really does mean a lot. I don't think we say it enough, or I think we say it, but I want you guys to know we really mean it. Like, it does mean a lot. We really enjoy making the show, and we've really enjoyed doing the live streams as well. It's been a lot of fun, and we're looking forward to doing this for a long time to come.
Until we die.
Right. Guys, it's October. It's Josh's favorite time of year. Too bad he's not here anymore with us on the show, because he would love this so much, because it is spooky time. It is Spooktober. I can't say that one. It's Spookytober.
Spookytober.
Yep, I need to write that
down. All right, he's writing
down
an edit right now, everyone. That's what's happening. Because he realized he didn't like the sound of that.
I didn't like the sound of that at all. It felt bad coming off my tongue. But it is spooky time, and we are going to start talking about the spooky podcasts. And
it's time to get scared.
It's time to get real scary.
It's not. It's usually not. Have you ever heard a podcast once that actually scared you?
Yes.
I have not.
I have. I think a lot of it has to do with the situation. I was listening to lore one time when I was working at a nursery that was inside a giant greenhouse, and I was there at like 5 a.m. when it was dark and there was no one there, and all I had was like the headlights of a tractor, and it was terrifying already. And then I was listening to a spooky podcast, so it was the more the surroundings that spooked me. But yeah, I had to listen to something else because I was scared.
He started crying and trembling.
I cried a little bit. Just a little bit. But I found a show that I think's great because it's about haunted places. It's actually called Haunted Places. But what I liked about it is it doesn't just talk about haunted places here in the U.S. It talks about haunted places all over the world. And the specific one that I'm mentioning is La Casa Matusita, which is a haunted place in Peru. And this is the blurb from this show. You've heard of haunted houses, haunted cemeteries, haunted islands. But do you know how a normal place can become paranormal minefield? Every haunted place on Earth has a frightening real backstory. Greg takes you on an audio tour of a new haunted place and its haunted history every episode. Spooky legends, weird histories, and tales of the supernatural. Listen at your own risk. And it's hosted by Greg, and I knew his voice, and now I see where we've covered serial killers, I think like 3 spooky seasons ago, where we talked about that show, and I knew I recognized his voice. The podcast world is a little bit small, yeah. It's huge and small at the same time.
Well, it's about to get spooky, everybody, and we're going to record this episode live from a haunted house.
Nope. Mm-mm.
Well,
my house is a little haunted, so yeah, sure.
No. That doesn't count. But thanks so much for listening, and remember,
there's always more to discover.
That was a good
Spooky
one.
Laugh.
That was a dynamite spooky laugh.
Dynamite.
So yeah, thanks so much for joining the stream, everybody. We really appreciate it.
I have so many tabs to close now that I don't have to have those notes up for those shows.
Yeah, I do need to close some.
I think we had a lot of extra stuff to talk about that one. I liked that. We had extra stuff. We recapped the show, but we also had things that they weren't able to mention. I like that. Made me feel like we added to the show rather than just regurgitated it or.
Yeah. No, it is a weird thing to navigate sometimes because I really do want people to go listen to the show, not just listen to our dumb version of their show. I want them to go listen to the actual show that we liked.
For sure.
Okay, well, great, everybody. We're going to take about a 3-minute break, and we're going to get right back to the other Discovery show because right after that, it's time for some Friday night video games. Time for some PDS plays immediately following this. But if anybody who was here early and saw Billy on the first episode of the Twitch Discovery show, he sent us over our new stream music. So you're not going to just be sitting here looking at a screen with no music like some boring dumb person. You're going to be listening to Infinite Third, and it's going to feel great. So stick around, probably about 3 minutes. We'll be right back. Thanks so much for checking out the stream. right, everybody, we are back. And we're here to talk about all the other stuff we discovered throughout the week. We call it Todd's.
So many cool stuff. So many cool stuff. So many cool things.
So many cool stuff coming your way.
Cool stuff, things.
All right. I guess we just need to kick on Zencastr and we're ready to go.
Let's see if this one's going to not start a brand new one. That's what happened. I pressed new recording and it kicked us out and made a brand new one. So if it does that, I'll just start over.
Same thing.
Send you another link. No, worked this time.
Perfect. Just like we planned it.
Nice. Let me hit this record button right here. Never mind. Still running health checks on mine for some reason.
Does that sometimes. Takes a extra second. If it keeps going, you can also just
Refresh.
hit that refresh button.
There we go.
There it is.
Welcome to the Other Discovery Show, the podcast that's not about podcasts. It's the bonus show from the Podcast Discovery Show that's about all the other things that we've discovered throughout the week. I'm Kirk.
And I'm Zach. And I discovered some pretty cool stuff this week. One of the first ones is an article that I saw about an MIT team that has created a wearable sleep tracker that will give you the power to control your dreams.
There's no way this is real.
Oh, it's very real. It's not that effective. It's not like, oh, I want to dream X, and then you immediately do. But what this is, they have a little wrist thing here. I'll throw it in the chat as well, so everybody can take a look at it. They have a wrist thing, so it looks like a Fitbit kind of. It's got some finger ones too. And once you put this on, it can tell when you're starting to enter sleep. So, have you ever had where you are not completely asleep, but you're right on the verge of it, and it's kind of trippy, and you're
reality kind of bends.
Yeah, it blurs. Everything about it blurs.
Yes,
and that is the time when they want to exploit your brain. So how this thing works, it's called Dormio, and so there's an app. And then there's your wearable, your dreaming Fitbit. When you enter, it's called hypnagogia. Is the earliest stage of sleep. It's the one we were talking about, where right as you're about to fall asleep, do you ever get that thing where you jump, you feel like you're falling, it startles you out of it? I think that's part of that same state of sleep. But
there's a name for it. I can't remember. I listened to a podcast that's just talking about that. There's a haptic jerk or something like that. I'm pretty sure that's wrong, but it's something like that.
I could see that maybe. Yeah, I don't know, but I've had it happen.
They were trying to say why that happened, and they were saying that it might be they were talking evolutionary, is that when we were living in trees.
Oh, it's falling?
Mm-hmm. Making sure you don't fall out of the tree.
It definitely feels like you're falling sometimes. And also, have you heard of exploding head syndrome?
You've told me about it, and it sounds horrible, but no, I never had it.
I feel like I've had it one time where I almost just feel like it was the same type of sleep, the hypnagogia, where it was just reality was not right. And I just heard something very loud and it woke me up. But okay, when the monitors that you have on your fingers and your wrist, they wait for you to enter this stage of sleep. And then when they do, they start to play your recording. So there's a doctor who's a lead author of a recent study that this was based on that said the state of the mind is trippy, loose, flexible, and divergent at this time. It's like turning up the notch up high on mind wandering and making it immersive. So, what they have you do is pick what you're going to dream about. And so for this study, he had each of them record their own voices saying, "Remember to think of a tree."
Remember to think of a tree.
Yeah. And as each person prepared for sleep, it played that prompt. And I think it waits for you to hit that weird place, and then it plays you telling yourself,
it's like an audio.
Yeah, to think of a tree.
Huh.
And then it would, so I think right when you start, it plays it. Right when you enter that space of sleep, it does it again. And then after a brief period, it would wake the person up with another prompt. Please tell me what was going through your mind. And the person would explain the dream. And they did this a bunch of times, and each patient had like their own, or participant had their own like specific stuff. But by the end, 67% of the people reported dreaming of trees.
What?
The details
That's
of the
a really good percentage.
Yeah, that's really high. It's very, very high.
That's more than half.
Yes, it is. But the details of the trees varied widely. One person dreamed of a tree-shaped car, for instance. And they also noticed that they seemed to get more bizarre each time the app woke them up. So another example here, one subject started off by dreaming about many different kinds of trees, including pines and oaks. But by the fifth wake up, that person reported dreaming about a shaman sitting under the tree with me, and he tells me to go to South America.
What?
So it's just crazy. But then here's another crazy thing. Part of the reason why they're studying this is we don't understand the mind fully. So there's always going to be that curiosity on like why this is happening. But there's also a study in 2015 that suggests that maybe if you practice skills in your dream, you will be better at them when you're awake. So they ran a study, and they would get people into lucid dreams. I don't know how you do all this. I don't know the logistics behind how you do this study, but it was lucid dreaming. So lucid dreaming is you are aware it's a dream and you can navigate is what it is. Yeah. And they had people practice a finger tapping exercise during a lucid dream. And then they improved in real life when they tried that same exercise compared to people who did not do that. So one of the possible things they're interested in is, could you get good at things? Other studies have shown that dreaming in a foreign language may help someone improve at that language. And the last one's anecdotal, but dreaming about certain subjects can also help people with creative problem solving. So,
like writer's block, you get some artist block or something like that.
Yeah, if you have something that you're just kind of stuck on, if you just let your sleepy brain mess with it, what could it do? But in the end, Dormio isn't on the market yet, but they're thinking that something potentially could be soon, because it's basically just the first step in the door here of what could you do with like optimizing sleep, essentially through wearables and through technology.
Yeah. No, that sounds very interesting. I would love to be a subject in that trial, an at-home subject,
so
to
just
try
sleep,
it out.
just get like paid
Basically,
to sleep.
I want to sleep, and I want to try this thing to see if it makes me dream better and learn things.
I mean, I could send you a recording of like dream about beans.
I always dream about beans.
And you could just like play that as you go to sleep every night.
Yeah, I have no segue for what I'm talking about. I have an amazing article from Popular Science that's all about the brand new space toilet. So NASA just spent $23 million designing a new and improved space toilet for the astronauts on the ISS. And they just launched it this week. So it's going to be much better. And it's...
You would hope so. That's a lot of money.
the article says designing a space toilet is more complicated than it may seem. The first mission into space didn't have toilets on board at all. Astronaut Alan Shepard peed in his spacesuit on the launch pad in 1961, and the original solution was to pee into condom-like plastic tubes that reportedly leaked and certainly did not suit women's needs.
Oh God, yeah, that's. I'm guessing that's part of why there wasn't a whole lot of women astronauts at the very beginning, because that's not a sustainable way to do that. It's like, oh, here's a balloon. Use this.
Engineers have come up with a far better solution since then, but it's a very complicated thing, because gravity. There's no gravity, so it's not. There's no plopping going on.
There's no plopping going on. You're right.
The new toilet model, called the Universal Waste Management System, is reportedly 65% lighter and 40% smaller than the previous model. The waste collection system, which is currently on board the station, was designed in the 1990s. They haven't had a new toilet up there since the 90s.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. You would think it'd all be upgraded by now.
And they've got some pictures of the toilet and stuff like that, which is interesting.
How does it look?
It looks... I don't know how it is usable. It looks horrible. It looks horrible to use. I will say that still. It still looks horrible to use. But apparently the current one, you cannot do a number 1 and a number 2 at the same time. You can only do one at a time, which has got to be a thing that now is resolved. You can do both in this one, which is great. It's definitely taken into account that women exist, so it's better there too. But yeah, NASA just spent over $20 million on a new toilet, and they just sent it to space.
So we'll find out. Really, the jury's still out. We'll see how it works.
By the way, how do you think they get rid of the pee pee poo poo?
I thought they just shot it out. It's like,
they do shoot out the poo poo.
Oh, no, they recycle the pee, right? They turn the pee back into water?
Yeah. They recycle the pee. And I love the quote, and it's disturbing, but I love it. They says, when it comes to our urine in the ISS, today's coffee is tomorrow's coffee.
I mean, disturbing, but awesome. No, yeah, I mean, you have to. There has to be like as much conservation as possible when you're literally in space. They are disturbing in their efficiency. Yeah, no, it's weird to think about, but I'm sure it's fine.
New space toilet incoming to the ISS. You heard it here, guys.
Yep. No, but it was... I'm sure that the 23 million is because every single thing has to be able to be in a vacuum and to be able to be shot into space, so it makes it expensive. So I saw this awesome... It was actually like an Ask History. There's a history subreddit, and somebody just asked a question. How many examples are there of any animals once domesticated by humans that were simply abandoned? And I was like, well, that is an amazing question. I am curious about that right now.
So it's asking, like, are there animals that are now wild that at one point we had domesticated?
Correct.
I'd never even thought of that.
And there was a breed of dog called the Turnspit dog. And as you can guess by its name, it turned to spit back when most of the time people were
like a
cooking outdoors. So they literally had a dog that was just bred to turn the wheel. It was bred to run on a wheel in order to turn meat so it would cook evenly. And they would usually have a pair of dogs working in shifts, and this was totally a thing. But then they're now extinct because we don't have spits. And I don't know. Let me see. I don't see anything that says like why it was lost. I think it was just they didn't need it anymore. And this was the first mention of it is 1576. So this was a long time ago. They were not going to the dog show. They weren't concerned about preserving breeds unless they were.
There wasn't a puppy bowl yet. There was no puppy bowl.
Yeah, there was nothing they really cared about particularly with the breed, unless it was helpful. So here's another one that was helpful: a Salish woolly dog, and a Salish woolly dog had it was like a sheep. They bred a dog because it had really long, fluffy hair, and they would use it for wool. And they were using it.
Sheepdog, but like an actual, like not a sheep herding dog, but a
dog that is supposed to function like a sheep.
Actual sheepdog.
Yeah. And so basically, it was just really high quality fur that they would use for what they ended up calling Salish blankets. There was just people's, I think it was like in the Northwest. Yeah, Washington State and British Columbia. And yeah, it was a small, long-haired wool dog, and it was coyote-like. And it was just a little fluffy dog that they would shear just like a sheep, and they would use its hair. There is a ton of pigs that went extinct just because people stopped using lard for everything. And so I guess that pig, you weren't concerned about like the meat on it. You were concerned about really high fat content. Mm-hmm. And I think this might be a spoiler if I looked at actually, no, it just fits really well. Another one is, have you ever thought about why pigeons go crazy everywhere? Because that was a thing before. People used pigeons to deliver messages. Mm-hmm. And now pigeons are just around, just pigeoning, and they don't have a job, but they are perfectly suited to live in urban areas because they were domesticated. They lived around us. There's another one called, and this is one of the coolest ones. There was one called the Fuegian dog, and the Fuegian dog was domesticated, but it is not anymore. But the other one is still alive. Okay, so a Fuegian dog was a domesticated Andean fox. And an Andean fox is still around. That's still an actual animal. So it's the only one that they mentioned on here that was once domesticated, but now just the wild one is around. And I'll show you a picture of this because it looks like a little coyote. And I could totally see why people would want this little coyote dog.
Oh, it's cute.
Yeah, it's very cute. It looks like a little wolf coyote or fox coyote.
Yeah. It's like it's got a coyote face with a fox tail.
Yeah. They look pretty adorable. So I can tell, and they've also, I think Russia was working on domesticating foxes just outright. But no, it was just one of those things where I literally just saw that question on the Reddit post and I was like, this is crazy. I'm curious, and it was awesome, and I found out a bunch of weird specialty dogs.
No, that's really cool. Speaking of things that are really cool, it's really cool.
Can I use that as my segue every time? Speaking of really cool, me, right? I'm cool too.
Speaking of really cool, it's really cool when you guys help us.
What?
So bad at this. I don't like this part, but we need to do it. But I don't know. I don't like doing it. I don't like doing it at all.
What are you? Oh, are you doing like our ad break?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a separate show.
Gotcha.
When we don't have an ad, we should be being like, "Hey, you can help us in these ways, and follow us over here."
Okay. We are terrible at advertising for our own show, but we know that it's important. So we're going to put it all right here, where we'll normally or otherwise have another great show that we'd have you checking out, or something that we believe in and think is cool. But if you'd like to support the show, I'm gonna list these things fast. We appreciate any possible way that you get in touch, you support the show. We got Twitter, we got Patreon. We have affiliate codes at both Rogue Energy and Audible. We have a Venmo if you'd like to do that. We have a Twitch channel. We have a YouTube channel. Basically, if you'd like to support the show, find your preferred medium, and we are on it. You can come get in touch with us, and we really hope that you do. You can hit follow, subscribe on whatever you'd like to. But honestly, just thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it.
So much. And guys, it's spooky time again. It's that time of year. So I thought I needed to bring a spooky discovery. And I found a really, really interesting one from Zach's favorite website and one of my favorites as well, Atlas Obscura. I was actually a little bit worried that you would use this one, so that's why I went ahead and put it in there earlier, so that you could be like, "No, that's mine."
No,
but you didn't.
No, I mean that's why I never get anything from Today I Learned.
I know. That's why I felt a little bit bad because I was in your territory.
No, you're good.
So this is about sorcery in Iceland.
I'm liking it so far.
In Iceland, and there is some crazy stuff, and I think a lot of it never actually happened. It just is almost like folklore now.
Mm-hmm.
But there's like museums that talk about it. So Iceland in the 17th century wasn't the greatest time or place to be alive. Faced with natural disasters, constant coastal pirate raids, and a crushing class system that left all but the richest citizens living in stone huts, the Icelandic peasants of the time had a hard life. As often the case in such situations where hope was scarce and education even more so, many of the people turned to witchcraft as a last resort to improve their wretched lives. However, the defining characteristics of much of Icelandic sorcery is the oddly specific and elaborate rituals themselves, which often call for some bodily tithe or gruesome sacrifice.
Bodily tithe. That sounds not great from the premise.
There's two of them that we have to talk about because they're just so nuts. And again, I don't think anyone actually did this because it's just so out there. But in their lore, this is what you would need to do if you wanted to do this witch thing. Summoning a vengeful zombie required lots of spit and snot licking. While many of the more insane workings were likely more than folklore, even in their day, no more than folklore even in their day, and never actually attempted, they still make for some fascinatingly grim windows into the culture of the era. This one's the weird one. One of the weird ones. It's called the Tilbury, a two-headed snake that would help people steal goat's milk. And there's a picture of it, and it is terrifying because they have it in the museum. You know, it's like a representation of it.
There's a picture of the snake?
Yeah, it's very weird. Let me read the ritual that you would need to do if you wanted a Tilbury to steal some goat milk for you. The Tilbury was said to be summoned by first stealing a rib from a corpse only recently interred, then wrapping the bone with gray wool, also stolen, preferably from a sheep of a widow. This macabre totem was then to be kept between a woman's breasts, during which time she must spit out her communion bread or wafer for 3 Sundays and feed it to the fetish, which would slowly grow and become alive until it was suckling the inside of her thigh, where it left a mark like a wart.
Oh.
Once this gross creature reached maturity, it would slink off to a neighbor's land and suckle their goat's milk until it was full, and then it would roll back to its creator's home to expel its stolen milk.
So you would drink the milk out of that thing?
I guess. But do you see the thing? The representation of it?
Yeah.
It's so weird.
It doesn't even give any, like, detail on where this is. It just looks like some kind of horror show.
It's from a museum. They have, like, a museum of, like, witchcraft and, like, folklore.
So eventually it would be that big, and it would be between your breasts, and then also biting your leg and leaving a wart. And then it would sneak off and drink all the goat's milk, and then it would come back and mama bird you the goat's milk.
Yes.
Witchcraft sounds awesome.
That isn't spooky enough. Let me tell you about necropants. These vile leggings were the main component in a ritual that was said to bring the caster unlimited wealth. Although the requirements of the spell were so outlandish that simple back-breaking labor seemed like a more attractive alternative. Basically, if you wanted to do this and get unlimited wealth, you basically had to make a pact with a friend, stating that once the friend had died of natural causes, which that's the thing, is like you have to wait for your friend to die of natural causes.
It's a really long-term play.
It's so weird. Okay, so once your friend dies of natural causes, okay, the sorcerer has permission to take the skin from them the waist down. So you've got to literally peel their skin off once the friend is dead. The greedy magician must then wait until the friend has been buried, dig up the body, and then skin the lower half of the corpse without creating any holes or tears, thus creating a pair of gruesome skin pants. Once the necropants have been created, the caster must don the purloined pantaloons against his bare skin.
Purloined pantaloons.
There are things about this ritual that are ridiculous. I mean, it's already ridiculous.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah.
It gets crazier. Now, the ritual requires that the sorcerer steal a coin from a destitute widow.
Why are the widows always abused in these witchcraft things?
Let me read this part. And place it in the empty scrotum of the pants, along with the magical Icelandic stave, which is a symbol written on a scrap of parchment. And that's it. The pants soon become indistinguishable from the wearer's body, and so long as the original coin was not removed from the scrotum should continuously and miraculously fill with coins for the rest of time.
Okay. So you're going to sound like a changed person anytime you're walking around because you're just filling up with coins? Is that the goal?
Yes.
Yeah. That's a weird thing to do. Everything about that is weird.
But what is terrifying is that pair in that picture. It says the only known pair of necropants in the world are now located in the Museum of Icelandic Sorcery and Witchcraft in Iceland.
Those are actual necropants?
Those are actual necropants.
Ugh. Yeah, I don't like that.
No, it's not real. In actuality, a frighteningly realistic reproduction, hair and all. It's not real. But
okay, good.
Yeah, I'm glad it's not. God, that's so weird. It's so spooky.
Yeah, that's disturbing. I wish I could erase that from my brain.
I love how they have it blurred out too, because there's I mean, it's a scrotum full of coins.
Where is the blurred out part for you?
That's
the top one.
It's blurred out. The middle one is not blurred out.
I guess it's just top page. So they're like, top of the page, we'll blur it. If you've gotten this far and read this much, you're fine. You can see the real thing. Yeah, that is insane. All right, edit point. How are you feeling? We're at 26.
My other one is short. How long is your other one?
Longish. I might save it because it's got a lot of stuff we could talk about. So if you want to throw yours down and then we can wrap it.
Okay. Give me 1 second. I have one more discovery. It's a really quick one, but I thought it was fascinating. I saw it today. It's a Time magazine article that talks about China's most secret weapon, the messenger pigeon. Though the world's attention was recently focused on China unveiling its new stealth fighter, the Chinese military is also began training 10,000 pigeons as part of a push to build a reserve pigeon army. That's literally a quote, reserve pigeon army, that would provide support to the military's conventional communications infrastructure in the event that war rendered its plethora of modern technology unusable. These military pigeons will be primarily called upon to conduct special military missions between troops stationed at our land borders or ocean borders. That's a quote from the military. But they have some really fascinating stuff in this article about when pigeons have been used in the past. And they actually have dogs as well that they've been training for this eventuality that they don't have essentially electricity or, electronics that are working.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen with the rise of technology, people have gone backwards to try and circumvent it. So, I think Putin just sent Trump a telegram when he found out they had COVID. Didn't send him an email. He sent him a telegram.
Okay.
and spies have started using typewriters again because there literally is no other copy of it other than the one, and it cannot be hacked. It's just a piece of paper. See, it's interesting how some of that stuff sticks around just because it's not the same susceptibilities that we currently have. But yeah, that's cool.
They have some interesting things about times that pigeons have been used in the past for communication. Hundreds of pigeons were dropped over Normandy during the D-Day landings to provide a communication channel back to Britain for soldiers who feared their radio messages would be intercepted by the Nazis. The first pigeon to make it back to London with the news that the invasion had been a success was awarded with high military honors. I love this one too. Criminals too have found pigeons useful. In January, authorities in Colombia apprehended a pigeon that was being used to deliver narcotics to their incarcerated compatriots. The overburdened bird with cocaine and marijuana strapped to its back, fell out of the sky before crossing the prison
I was about to ask, how do you apprehend a pigeon? But that'll do it. If it falls out of the sky, that'll do it.
Hey, look at that bird. It's got a brick of cocaine on its
No,
back.
that bird looks weird.
It's great.
There's no stopping technology. Cocaine pigeons. What's next?
Wait, what? The end of the article talks about apparently pigeoning is a huge thing in China. It's like blowing up. Dang. An unnamed Chinese bidder broke the world record price for a single pigeon by paying $200,000 for a pedigree Belgian racing bird, considered the creme de la creme of the pigeon racing world. $200,000 for a pigeon.
I need to start raising some pigeons.
Yeah.
That is ludicrous money. They cannot be that hard to take care of. They should eat dirt and like food. They eat like fries off the ground. It's fine.
They don't eat fries off the ground if they're a creme de la creme racing pigeon.
I question that. I think they 100% would. I think they can also probably fly faster to get to the fries that are on the ground.
Okay.
No, I'm guessing if you have a $200,000 bird, you probably are feeding it like at least like organic French fries, and maybe off a plate.
Well, all right, guys. Those we had a lot of really interesting discoveries this week. So many things: space toilets, necropants, extinct animals that we had domesticated in the past, $200,000 pigeons.
I was. You want to say all of them? You want to go to the other one too? No, I'm just messing with you. But yeah, thanks everybody for listening. Get in touch. Anything you can possibly watch or listen to things on, we're probably there. So check it out. And we hope that you had a great time listening. We really appreciate it, and we will talk to you next week.
Bye. We have to come up with a tagline for the Todds because we don't know how to end the stupid thing.
Well, I wasn't sure if you were going to say something. I should have just ended it earlier. No, we can try and find a tagline, but meh. All right, everybody. Anybody in this chat room that likes to play video games with us, get ready, because that's what's next. We're going to switch over to a PDS Plays stream, and it's time for some video games and hanging out.
It is.
We hope you guys will stick around. I'm going to put up the end screen and some music, but literally we're going to leave it on right until Kirk transfers over, so you can just hit refresh and we'll be back. So yeah, thanks so much for checking out the stream. We hope you come back next week, and we hope you guys feel comfortable. If you discovered something cool throughout the week, throw it out there. We'd love to talk to you about it.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from people about their discoveries. And we're looking for some spooky podcasts. So if you got a good spooky podcast, hit us up with it.
Dan Carlin has one out that's about how he thinks we're headed towards Civil War, and that's about as spooky as it gets. I haven't been able to bring myself to listen to it.
Oh, God. It's scary because he's done so much research in history that
Mm-hmm.
it's probably right.
Mm-hmm.
It's terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like a comedian.
Oh, no, it's real spooky.
Uh,
All right, everybody. Thanks so much for checking it out. Like I said, stick around. We're going to play some games right after this. Hey.
I think literally NASA right now is shipping that toilet. They're live on Twitch going to the space station. It said this week. I think it's literally being launched right now.
They're launching a toilet into space, and you can watch it on the internet. Welcome to the future, everybody. We made it. We made it. So, yeah, thanks for checking out the stream. We will be back in like 1 minute. We literally just get it set up on the other feed. Essentially, it's still on this channel, but we get it all set up for the PDS Plays part of this, and then you'll see it drop out. Hit refresh. We're back. So thanks everybody for checking it out. We'll be back in like 2 minutes.
BRB. Black, yeah. Okay.